All right, hey everyone, hope you guys are all having a wonderful day out there today. Happy Tuesday. There's a lot of stuff going on here today, of course, but I think the most important thing is what happens tomorrow with the Federal Reserve. That's where our eyes are going to be. However, today we're going to do a little bit more dollar cost averaging, a little bit more as figuring out where the rest of the market is, because we've actually seen some tokens going up this week, and we've seen a lot of altcoins going down because altcoins are a little bit more receptive than Bitcoin is to the interest rate. So it's been kind of scary here. You can see the Dow going down quite a bit this week too. So again, everybody is a little bit concerned about what happens tomorrow, whether or not we're going to have a cut, which I think we are going to have a cut. Is it going to be a hawkish cut, a dovish cut? You know, what's going on there, okay? So a lot of stuff going on here. Hey, wait, let me make sure. Johan and Haram, hope you guys are both doing well. So what I got planned for us right now is a little bit of technical analysis for Bitcoin here. Then we're going to move over to like what's happening with the rest of the market, and a couple articles from CNBC, basically just one article about what the Fed's going to do tomorrow and the possibilities. And then we're going to be looking at Nissan and I think it's Honda may merge here, produce in Japan. So the world is changing right now, and this is some interesting stuff that I think we should just be aware of at least, right? So before we get started with all that good stuff, if you guys are new to the stream, always make sure to subscribe. I appreciate that a lot. I got my hand daddy water over here. I had my Stanley cup, but I didn't fill it up with ice, so I didn't want cool water. I wanted ice water, so. Oh, man. Some of ice water is always good. But Loki has his new treats, and just like that, he's here for the treats. Can you sit down? Thank you. These are new. He's had one of them so far, and I think he likes them. But let me scoot over. Hey, I didn't say that. I didn't say you can come over. I just said I'm going to scoot. All right. Good boy. See? You know, very gentle, thank God. And then he ran off into his personal bedroom over there to go snack on it. So, again, hope you guys are all doing well. Let's just kind of turn over to the charts here because there is a lot of news. What happened over the last few days, right? So we finally saw Bitcoin on the... you could even say the weekly charts and daily charts at this point, breaking above that Fibonacci level that we've been talking about, where we're going to see some resistance. If you guys remember, there we go. We were talking about this level of 104,130. Was Bitcoin going to be able to break above it, or what was going to be the issue there? What was going to be the problem? And so far, it took us maybe just about a few weeks for us to actually break out above this level, which is much faster than I anticipated, right? Last time we were here, I told you guys I was selling off 10% of my Bitcoin, kind of around 100,000 bucks, and I was just going to wait to see what happens because I didn't think we were just going to go breezing through that Fibonacci level the first time we came into contact with it. And if you guys recall, the first time we came into contact with this Fibonacci level, it was a freaking, it was just dramatic. Let's just say dramatic, right? We saw Bitcoin go sky high for a second. In fact, let me drag this over here before I go to the full screen method. There you go. Bitcoin go like perfectly up to the resistance, got rejected subtly. We tried to get back up there, huge wall, and then we just got attacked. And I mean, again, 104,000 bucks to 91,000. That was a very painful experience, but that's why we were talking about scaling out and stuff like that, because ever since this moment over the last week or so, even the last like couple weeks, a lot of altcoins have not been able to make a new batch of highs for the year of 2024. And by that, I mean, if you go to any weekly chart with a lot of these tokens out there, you know, Bitcoin's doing fine, all-time highs. Beautiful, great, I got it. Ethereum, right, doing okay, but not at the all-time highs that Bitcoin is at. In fact, it had a violent retrace, and at the same time here, it's still not doing so hot. In the scheme of things, dollar cost averaging still working out, as you guys can see. But for those of you guys who might have bought a couple weeks ago, yeah, it's been more of a painful experience, and it's something we all learn once in our lives. Solana been coming down for over a month now. Dogecoin been coming down for about the last 2 weeks, I'll say. We managed to have a resurgence, which is pretty nice because Dogecoin is more in the news for obvious reasons. But with more sideways here, bonk, way more down. And so you're seeing a lot of altcoins right now come down quite a bit. So just as a little bit of a reminder, I'm still dollar cost averaging some of these tokens, but they are not doing nearly as good as Bitcoin. And I think this is partly because of the interest rate talk that we've been discussing here. What we've been seeing here, I guess, overall with Bitcoin, before I go over to the interest rate decision stuff, is a good breakout this week, breakout with momentum. The daily chart's good, the stochastic is good, the MACD is good, the RSI is good, the stochastic is good, both on the weekly charts and on the daily charts. And typically you'd be like, Michael, that's exactly when you want to buy, right? And I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I'd want to buy. But at this point in time, I'm holding off because I'm terrified of what happens tomorrow. If I didn't have any positions open right now, would I have some type of long? Yeah, I would have a long open right now, and I already have plenty of longs open at this point in time. But because I already have all the longs I have, I don't feel the need to like put something new up there, especially because tomorrow is going to be volatile no matter how you look at it, right? If you've been looking at different assets out there, we just talked about the meme coins, just altcoins in general, they've been coming down, right? It's not been good for them. But what's been really concerning is if you go over here to the Dow Jones, the daily chart, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 days of coming down straight. It hasn't done that in a very, very long time. And people are saying this is because of the possibility of a hawkish rate cut, which means we have a rate cut tomorrow, which is going to be Wednesday, right? We have a rate cut tomorrow, but the Fed announces that they're probably not going to have a rate cut next year, or during like February's meeting or January's meeting, okay? That's where the concern lies right now. And you can see how that's having an effect on the overall market. Now, for me, who's still bullish around the overall economy and what's going on, I'm still going to be dollar cost averaging a lot of assets. This includes stocks, ETFs, cryptocurrencies, everything from Bitcoin to altcoins and meme coins, AI tokens, everything like that. But at this point, you can see the concern that's on everybody's, charts right now, I guess you could say. The broader market today, last 24 hours, Pudgy, Pengu, what is this? Wait a second. Did something glitch? Oh, I don't know why. I feel like they changed the numbers. I always used to think that the number correlated with the market cap, right? So 1 will always align with Bitcoin, 2 will always align with Ethereum as long as they have the number 1 market cap. But I think that changed kind of recently. But anyway, last 24 hours, Pudgy Penguins is up 465%. BitGet token is up 12%. We've been I've held that for such a long time. I don't hold much of it left, but again, we bought that at 6 cents, and the fact that it keeps on going up is absolutely insane. Litecoin is up 6%. XLM is up 5%. There are a few tokens making moves. The rest are, Virtual is down 13%, still having an amazing week, so it doesn't really matter. Pyth, INA, APT, Beam, DYDX, a bunch of stuff over here. Fetch AI, yada, right? So there's kind of a weird mixed playground here of tokens you can try to play with. I'm still kind of like, I'm just going to dollar cost average them. These tokens, if you want to trade them, it's still best in my opinion to day trading. That's up to 20 to 30 hours. That's still what I'd say is going to be working here. After tomorrow, we'll know if we can actually go for some swing trades and stuff like that. It'll be a very good sign because you'll start to see all these altcoins that have been that have been going down. They will start to bottom out, and once they bottom out, all you have to do is wait for that breakout and for their daily momentum to shift. And you can just go all into those suckers and you'll be very happy with the results. Right now, I'm buying and dollar cost averaging them as they're still going down before they've actually had that bottoming out period. I think that's probably just the way I like to trade because I don't want to miss out in case they go parabolic out of nowhere, because sometimes they do that. But yeah, we're kind of in this rough system for the next 24 to 48 hours just because of what happens with the Fed. I wish there was some good news where we're like, oh yeah, the Fed's definitely going to do that. We definitely know what the Fed's going to do. And the closest we can say to that is they're going to have a hawkish rate cut, which is something we don't typically see too much, right? They say, hey, we're going to cut rates this time, but next time, we think inflation's a little bit too hot for us. So we're going to convey that message to the public in a statement, and of course the beloved dot plots that they like to throw out there. So CNBC futures are chill for the moment. Nothing really crazy happening. Everything is just basically waiting for tomorrow, right? Breaking news, Honda shares fall 2% after media reports on potential merger with Nissan. That is gonna be some crazy news here, right? Nissan and Honda plan to enter negotiations for a merger to better compete in the rapidly changing automotive industry, the Nikkei newspaper reported Tuesday. Honda and Nissan are considering operating under a holding company and soon will sign a memorandum of understanding, according to the report. Like, the world is changing very, very fast. Again, just no matter where you guys are, the world is changing at this point, and companies are going to be forced to keep up here. I'm really curious to see if this is allowed in Japan and what's going to happen, and everything like that, because this is going to be exciting. Nissans, from what I hear, make okay cars. Same with Honda, but not the top premium cars, but they're still you can trust them, right? As far as I know, I've never actually owned any of them. But if they come together, they can start making new cars. They can rebrand, almost like Jaguar tried to rebrand, but maybe a little bit more of a successful branding coming from the Japanese car industry, right? But yeah, so we are looking at some interesting things there as far as Nissan and stuff. Actually, Nissan shares surged 20% after media reports. So Nissan is the one getting the big pump for this. It looks like Honda is the one actually losing out on this deal, as far as how the market is treating everything, right? Now, last thing here before we start breaking down technical analysis of certain tokens, I need to answer a text very fast, so sorry about that. There you go. But it says, the Fed has a big interest rate decision coming Wednesday. Here's what to expect. So I'm not going to read this entire thing, but maybe I'll just read the keynotes here, or the key points. Futures market traders are pricing in a near certainty that the Fed on Wednesday will lower its benchmark overnight borrowing rate by a quarter percentage point, 25 basis points. I'd be inclined to say no cut, former Kansas City Fed Esther George said on Tuesday during a CNBC Squawk Box interview. That's the former Kansas City Fed president saying no cuts. She doesn't want a cut. She has no decision-making power, but she'd prefer if they didn't do a cut. And lastly, in addition to the rate cut decision, the Fed will update its dot plot, which we talked about here, future expectations, as well as the collective outlook of the state of the economy, right? And there's Jerome Powell. You can see, go over here very fast. You can see those puckered lips, right? He's ready to fuck somebody over. And it feels like he may fuck over the market if he does that hawkish rate cut. This is the former Kansas City Fed. This is her thoughts behind everything, because inflation has been upticking over the last few months. It's been much more sticky. It's not at that 2% price target like they hope it is. All that good stuff, right? That being said, I think inflation is down enough for us to prioritize the economy over inflation, if that makes sense. If inflation really starts to spike, then I'd be concerned. But inflation is still below 3%, and that's all I really want to see right now, right? All right. Now, one last thing here. This is what they call the hawkish cut. If the Fed follows through on the cut, it will mark a full percentage point lopped off the Fed's fund rate since September. While that is a considerable amount of easing in a short period of time, Fed officials have tools at their disposal to let the markets know that future cuts will not come so easily. One of those tools is the dot plot matrix of individual members' expectations for rates over the next few years. Important here. That will be updated Wednesday along with the rest of the summary of economic projections that will include informal outlooks for inflation, unemployment, and gross domestic product. For me, that's one of the most important things besides Jerome Powell's statement. In my opinion, we already know he's going to cut. But that dot plot is going to say, uh-oh, shit, we might not actually have a rate cut for a while. And if we don't have a rate cut for a while, I don't think the market will respond well to it. In fact, I think we'd probably see a short-term correction, not like a 5-8 month long correction, but maybe a 2-month long correction, a 3-month long correction that really, oh man, it'd drive a lot of us crazy, because we've been waiting for Bitcoin to hit all-time highs for a while. Everything is looking good. Momentum is looking good. And then if this is the case, that we do have something like this where we don't have a rate cut coming up fairly soon, I do think that points towards more of a just more of an uncertain time that causes a lot of us to just I don't know how to say this. It just should add a little bit more uncertainty, and you guys know the market doesn't like uncertainty, so that's more about what I'm thinking right now. Let me move this over here because something is wrong with this. I just want to make sure it's okay. Let's see. Where am I looking? There you go. All right. Good. All right. Sorry about that. All right. Now, I think I'm going to try to stream this tomorrow so you guys can see. Oh, I actually do need to move this back over. I forgot I have this little dashboard thing there. It is the Powell parlay with the media that the markets will be watching most closely, followed by the dot plot. Powell recently said that the Fed can afford to be a little bit more cautious about how quickly it eases amid what he characterized as a strong economy. Again, I don't think the economy is strong in the sense of like the average American. I understand from like a corporate level, things looking pretty good because corporate profits looking very good. But he used to say we care about the common man. We want to make sure that person's suffering, you know, trying to get a new house, they're able to do it. I don't think he's thinking about them anymore, to be honest. I think that was just part of the overall strategy to make the Fed appear to be more sympathetic, because during the rate hikes in 2022, we saw a weird phenomena. We saw a lot of Republicans railing against him during hearings, right? These could be moderate Republicans and what the media would call far-right Republicans, right? The MAGA type of crap. So they would all say, stop raising rates. You're hurting the average consumer. Stop it, stop it, stop it. People can't afford a house anymore, and it's your fault because you said transitory, right? And then what made it such a weird thing was you also had Bernie Sanders, you had Elizabeth Warren, and you had those more on the far left coming together with the people, the Republicans, and saying the same thing, which I don't think he was ready for, because the populist elements of the country, they're more for, hey, the people matter too. And I know some of you guys don't like Trump, or you guys don't like Elizabeth Warren or Bernie or whatever. Maybe you're pro-establishment, doesn't matter. You all have your preferences, but when you have both sides against you like that, even if it's just part of the Democratic side and most of the Republican side, it doesn't work well for you to try to say, oh, I'm doing the right thing, I'm doing the right thing. Because again, he made the blasphemous mistake of saying transitory, which at this point, this has been like 2 years since this happened. I don't think we realize like how long this process has taken. It has been forever. But yeah, this is gonna go to his grave. You know, Jerome Powell, his legacy will be transitory. That is it, right? Now here's the last part I want to talk to you guys about. What about Trump? I'm gonna read this. I already read this, of course, but Trump is a wild card here. He may shut up for a while. He may just do a couple tweets, or he may actually try to put real executive and legislative pressure on Jerome Powell to cut rates. Again, with the partnership of Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and some of those on the more liberal side, like AOC and things like that, right? So that is going to be the wild card here. But this is what they say here. Powell is almost certain to be asked about how policy might position in regard to fiscal policy under President-elect Donald Trump. Thus far, the chair and his colleagues have brushed aside questions about the effect Trump's initiatives could have on monetary policy, citing uncertainty over what is just talk now and what will become reality later. I think that's actually a fair point there. Nobody knows exactly what Trump is going to do. The media reporting on what Trump does often is like incorrect, to be frank, because they don't have the insider knowledge like you would out of a Biden or a Bush or an Obama type of administration, just because all the MAGA guys freaking hate the media, apparently. Some economists think that the incoming president's plans for aggressive tariffs, tax cuts, and mass deportations could aggravate inflation even more. Obviously, the Fed is in a bind, Reinhardt said. We used to call it a trapeze artist problem. If you're a trapeze artist, you don't have to leave your platform to swing out until you're sure the partner has swung out. For the central bank, they can't really change their forecast in response to what they believe will happen in the political economy until they're pretty sure that there'll be those changes in the political economy. Oh God, the way he phrases that is, no. They're not going to change their forecast until Trump actually does something. That's an easy way to put that, right? So again, a lot of big news coming out tomorrow. I think it happens around 11 o'clock tomorrow is when we get the FOMC announcement. And the FOMC announcement is just going to be complete chaos. We're going to see the markets either really skyrocket, or we're going to see the markets absolutely crash and burn. I'm hoping we're going to see them skyrocket because we do have a cut. I think everybody's going to see the cut. Maybe there'll be a short-term spike or something like that. Afterwards, everybody's going to really take a quick and deep look at the dot plot and then make their trades off of that. The dot plot, I think, is going to be the most important thing. So when we're looking at this tomorrow, I imagine that I'm going to try to find the dot plot as fast as possible. Maybe CNBC will have it, maybe Fox Business will have it, maybe even Yahoo News or Bloomberg will have it. But I think it's worth taking an in-depth look into that after we kind of watch and see how the market shake everything out, because once that announcement happens, I mean, you're placing bets. Quite a bit. Like what normally I think most people are doing right now. This has been the new thing I've been seeing on Twitter and TikTok. Basically, you're gonna do like a 100x leverage position, right? And like about 5-10 minutes before the Fed makes their announcement, you're gonna have a long and a short, and you're gonna have a stop loss on both. So in theory, one of them is gonna take off, one stop loss is gonna hit, and you're gonna make so much money off the set, you know, the trade that didn't get stop loss. It overcomes all the losses from the stop loss trade, if that makes sense. Or it's going to go up, down, whiplash really fast, and then go a direction. So you stopped out, and then it goes up, or it goes down, right? So a little bit more interesting there. One thing here, if I can pull this over, I don't remember if I can find this here. Where is it? Oh, well, I'll just show this to you guys. So if you guys recall, a few days ago, we did a little bit of a fun day trade about using 200x leverage and how looking like, if I told you guys, if I was going to buy Bitcoin right now, I'd be bullish because of the way the momentum was shifting. And although the FOMC is scaring me, I would get in and out pretty fast of that position. Well, we ended up making like 647%, not really much monetary value out of it because I don't want to lose money in case it didn't go my way. But we opened that trade at $102,203, and we sold it at $105,512 for a pretty nice profit there. So I know a couple of you guys made a trade. Some of you guys went against that trade and whatnot. But yeah, kind of an interesting thing that kind of played out here. Just wanted to give you guys a quick little update on that week's position there. Let's get the Dow Jones. Let's go over here. It's going to be freaking crazy tomorrow, guys. So I just hope you guys are prepared for that one. Let's pull this over a little bit more. I do want to see if anything is actually popping off over the last hour. Stellar's moving a little bit. XTZ, Tau. Okay, some few small movers. Nothing crazy I'm looking at right now. Looks like BitGet token is definitely making a move. It's up almost 600% year to date. That is absolutely insane. There we go. Okay. All right. So sorry for the long introduction, guys. If you guys want to ask me any questions, absolutely go for it here. Hey, Mo, happy to see you. Loki is doing very, very well. Where is Donkey Kong? You think it crashed? I have no idea what Donkey Kong is, man. There are so many tokens. I just don't know anymore. Let's see. And hey, Consulting. Hey, Tim. Happy to see you, my man. Phonetic. Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah, I'm not. Goes over my freaking head. Life is about to get much better. I hope so. I hope so, Mattis. I know right now people are concerned about Trump or JFK, not JFK, RFK, excuse me, or Jerome Powell, or what's happening with like everything in like their own states and whatnot. But I'm hoping things will just progress smoothly. There won't be too much turbulence, and maybe deregulation can help us out a little bit. I'm just hoping the regulations that are getting cut are actually good, like they deserve to be cut, if that makes sense. You heard BitGet doing a 2-to-1 swap? I have not heard about that yet. Are we worried about Trump's tariffs will cause huge inflation next year? Not really. I mean, Trump said this same thing back in 2016, and he did put tariffs up, but it didn't really seem to cause a major effect in my personal life. Maybe for somebody that worked in maybe the steel sector or like, you know, more of the manufacturing sector, I think it may have a little bit more of an impact. But right now, I don't think I see many issues. And especially, I think right now what's been happening is manufacturing has been going up just because they're afraid that if there is a tariff war, they don't want to have to pay for more expensive goods. So they're just buying it all just in case right now, which is fairly interesting, right? But I'm not too concerned about the tariffs. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts about if you guys are concerned about them or not. Yeah, I don't know. If they're hawkish on cuts, it won't pull back for 2-3 months ahead. It might only be a slow 5% down day. I think you're forgetting about what Trump said on his day one. I don't know if, well, actually, that depends. I don't know what Trump said on his day one in relation to this. He said a lot of stuff on his day one. That's why I think a lot of people are excited because they're waiting to see what exactly he does. But for me, I just don't know if Trump has the power to really push back against Jerome Powell. I really hope he does. I really hope he can kind of shift some things around. But I just don't know how easy it will be to kind of push the establishment, whatever you want to call the deep state, you know, the workers who don't get elected, but, you know, they have some pull and power and they can really clog up your ambitions with dealing with the bureaucracy. I don't think it'll be so easy to get rid of them. I think, well, I don't, it's not even that it's like that hard to get rid of them. You just have to have like the cojones to be like, hey, are you going to implement this policy moving forward? And if they say yes, and then they slow roll it over the next few weeks, you're going to have to say, hey, sorry, we gave you an opportunity. We feel like you're going too slow on this. We're going to have to fire you, and we're going to have to find somebody else who is more aligned with these policy decisions. Right? I don't know if they'd go through all that or if they're just going to be like, okay, well, they're doing it slowly, but I guess slow is the way the government works as always. So eventually we'll get it done. You know, that's what I'm really afraid of. That's really what I'm afraid of right there. Crazy good or crazy bad? I mean, tomorrow we don't know yet. It all depends on what the Fed does. But yeah, Mo was talking about something a little bit different, like Trump and then the hawkish cuts. But if it is like a 5% down day, that's still like $6,000-7,000 down in a day. That's pretty freaking dramatic. Although I will say it would give us a very good buying opportunity. If Bitcoin does go down quite a bit tomorrow, you better believe I'm going to be there to buy some tokens, buy a lot of tokens at those levels. And hey, Titan, hi Michael Loki. Where would you put your stop loss on Doge long that I entered last week? A Doge long from last week. My stop loss right now would be right around 35.49. So that's like about almost 35.5 cents. If I go back over here to the daily chart, it'd basically be level 1 could be there, 36.544. You saw the bounce right there. Or it could be down here at 32.841 or right here at 34. Excuse me. As far as I see it, you know, it had a pretty nice uptrend here. We recently broke down out of it. It's been kind of more sideways since. You know, for safety's sake, I'd probably have a stop loss around 36.4.364. That's where most people are going to have a stop loss. Anybody that bought over here, they're going to have a stop loss right here. If it's something of a long-term investment, you can hold it for a while. That's not a problem. But if you're trying to sell it within like the next week or two, something like that, like really short-term, yeah, a stop loss around that point will be usually pretty fine. You could always say, hey, I'm going to sell 100%. If it breaches that, I'm going to sell 75, 50%. I'm going to let the rest of it just kind of ride to see. But if you have a leverage position, of course, it's going to make things a little bit more difficult because of that, those fees and whatnot. Just came back from a board meeting for mental health decisions in your state. That must have been an interesting meeting. I heard there was a school shooting. I think it was yesterday. I didn't really see much news on it because I just wasn't watching the news. But I heard there's been a lot of stuff going on in the medical space right now. And on top of that, RFK. I was listening to a couple guys at the cigar lounge last night. And man, it was everybody's talking about what RFK is going to do. I'm very curious myself. The That's on XRP. I like XRP still. I'm still dollar cost averaging it, although now I'm really just averaging up on it. For the average individual who's been holding for the last few years, they're more of a scale out mode right now. But if you guys bought over the last few weeks, it's one of those tokens that's actually still making some decent moves, I would say. So the easiest way to make money on it is so far has been day trading, if you haven't really been holding it for a while. If you want to do a swing trade, the stop losses are pretty deep right now, so you're really going to risk a lot of money, hoping that it really takes off again. And I don't know if XRP is going to keep on going up like that, so it's a little bit more risky from that perspective. But I think day trading, you find a pattern, all the momentum is still going higher, so it's actually a pretty good play right now. Powell better do the best for the U.S. economy. So in his mind, he is. That's the thing with Powell. In his mind, it is. It's just so stressful because he is thinking more about inflation now and less about the overall economy. So he's like, if inflation goes up, everybody suffers, right? On the other side, everybody's already suffering because rates are too high. And there's different types of suffering, and he is more concerned about those in the middle and upper classes, and he's not really looking at those in the lower class, the working classes. He's not really looking at those guys, okay? And I think that's the big disconnect that we're seeing with Jerome Powell. He just doesn't know much about them, right? He knows as much as he can read off of a piece of paper when it comes to data. And again, I don't think he's some type of evil man. I think his priorities are just not that good. It's going to be rough for him. Because again, imagine being the guy that fucked up and said transitory. It really does matter. Dude, all I'm seeing right now is just like altcoins going down and Bitcoin goes up. There you go. Sip of water. Oh, yeah. Water is amazing. All right. Yeah, but those are my thoughts right there. Dump Bitcoin to 78K. Oh my God, that'd be that'd be a fun time there. Oh man. Do I use an account or manage my own taxes? Just want to remind everyone not to ignore the IRS when it comes to crypto investments. Yeah, they're going after people nowadays. If you file your taxes and it's the wrong information, yeah, they'll come after you. For me, I use an accountant, and it's because I day trade, so I have lots of trades happening up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, right? So I think accountants are usually worth it, or a tax attorney if they do the same thing. That's preferable. They're a little bit more expensive, but they do a much better job, if you ask me, than your typical accountant. But they may run you like $500 to $1,000, right? That being said, they save me more than $1,000 but yeah, that's only if you day trade a lot though, because you have to. So when I send my taxes, there's like pages and pages and pages of my sell and buy orders, like all of them, right? And I have to send them over with all my files and stuff. So it's a little bit of a different process. Most people, I'd say an accountant would be fine. It's easier to see an accountant now rather than right up until tax day, because it just gets much more difficult to find a good account. If you guys are just passive investors, though, you guys should be able to do it like an H&R Block type of thing or turbo trade type thing, and it shouldn't be too much. That's kind of my opinion. You guys can always go buy the programs and file them yourself. That's never been too big of an issue, I think. It just depends on what you feel more comfortable with. A lot of people don't feel comfortable sharing their information with a stranger, so I totally get it. Excuse me. I'm more or less holding XRP for long-term buy and forget. I think that usually works best with XRP. I mean, I've been doing that for a long time, and only now am I starting to see some really good rewards from it. We saw some in 2021. Now we're seeing 2024. I'm hoping now in 2024 with this new regulatory regime coming into place, I do think things are going to skyrocket as far as XRP because, or just and most of the cryptocurrency space, just because that regulation is no longer going to be there, and that's always something we've been very much wanting, to be frank. I know we are going to have regulation in crypto. There's going to be new framework and stuff like that, but now that America is jumping into cryptocurrency, finally in the year of our Lord 2024, I do believe other countries around the world will also be forced to make that decision as well, right? I think there was a talk about Germany. I think it was Germany or the UK. Germany Bitcoin. Yeah, former finance minister says Germany is not recognizing Bitcoin's value. Ex-finance minister. Oh, the ex-finance minister wants change. So again, and that's after they sold all their Bitcoin. When they sold the Bitcoin, though, it fucked over the market. I don't know if you guys remember that back this past summer. Bitcoin just went, yeah. So, let's hope that America doesn't do something like that, because Bitcoin will go, yeah. Okay, it rebounds up every time, but it's just scary as hell when it happens. Oh, man. Sideways for alts, I would actually say alts for the most part should continue to be bearish in the short term, unless we have some good news tomorrow from the Fed. The Fed is really going to control where things go. Altcoins are much more sensitive to the Fed funds rate than Bitcoin is. Just as a little bit of a tip there. Limit orders for Doge for what type of trade? I don't even know. Yeah, it could be long, short, buy, 1 day hold, 2 day hold. What, tomorrow, it's more of day trading for Dogecoin and most tokens right now, unless you have something of a really high risk trade for that Fed announcement. Hope I enjoyed the Nutcracker. I did enjoy the Nutcracker. It was a fantastic date. I drove us up there, got into the parking garage. Parking garage was a complete ripoff. I bought my parking pass well in advance, because I typically do that, so I don't have to worry about stuff in case there's no spots and stuff. So I paid $20 for my parking pass a month and a half in advance, right? We get to the garage, it's $50 if you haven't pre-gotten your pass, and I'm like, holy shit, that's a lot of money. Again, this is Seattle, so it's normal for Seattle. I'm just coming from the rural area, I'm like, damn, I forgot how expensive the city is. But anyway, we walk over, we get some ornaments and stuff like that, kind of take a look through the gift shops and kind of look at all the cool trees and just kind of admire what's going on, right? Then we get up to the 5th floor, I think it was. Yeah, 5th floor for the second box, which is a freaking great view. We get a couple drinks, which now you can take into the theater with you, which you couldn't do before when I was younger. Got a couple cocktails, took them in there with us, got the programs, sat down for a little bit, took some photos of each other, so we can share them, and then we took photos of the venue itself and how it looked, because McCall Hall is always very, very beautiful, very, very beautiful, and we could see right into the orchestra, right onto the stage. The show overall was really, really good. It was a lot different than what I remember from being a kid. It was much more of a electronic vibe to it, which was just a little bit different for me. And then afterwards we went back to my car, and then changed shoes, because nobody wants to walk around in dress shoes and high heels, right? And then we walked over to a few bars and stuff like that. It was a fantastic night. If you guys haven't seen the Nutcracker, it's always a fun show. I know it's almost close to Christmas and there's not many tickets left for the Nutcracker, but if you guys like to kind of go do something a little bit more upscale, it's always a great time. We went to the bars because leaving the parking garage was so catastrophically horrible, because the Nutcracker was getting over and there was a hockey game getting over at the same time. Yeah, the cops were not able to solve the issue of all the all the traffic. Let alone it took a lot of time just to get up to Seattle, just to take the Seattle exit, to sitting in line at the exit, on the side of the highway, ready. It was 20 minutes of just sitting in that lane. Insane. But yeah, it was overall just a really, really, really good trip. Highly recommend the Nutcracker, guys, especially if you guys go to McCall Hall. I think the tickets for the box, we got the front row box seats, it's box BB or something like that. $120 a seat, not bad at all. It was a really good show. Then Michael had a fine evening with the lady. It was definitely a good time. Even opened up a couple bottles of wine, sat over here on the sofa, and watched a couple movies and stuff like that, holiday stuff. But yeah, definitely a really good night. I'm just happy I wasn't too tired coming back from Seattle because I live like 50 minutes south of Seattle, right? So it is a drive back here. Even when I'm speeding, it's still a drive. So that was pretty fun. Let me see. Is anything actually popping off right now? Because I don't see anything. XLM, we talked about that. That's actually been coming down over the last few minutes. After a popular today. Another XLM right there. Yeah, most things on my watch list are pretty chill at this point in time. Let me take a quick peek at oil. Trump could really cause oil to just fall as soon as his presidency starts. And if it does, he could instantly claim, oh my God, gas is cheaper and I just got into office. I don't know if he'd actually do that, but he might. Especially since the Middle East is about to cool off. I love thinking about the politics of random stuff happening. Let me see. Yeah, we don't really have to worry about oil prices until May of next year. So if Trump's going to have a rough time, it'll be well into his term, like maybe 2-3 months into his term. Because I'm not going to watch the inauguration of Trump with you guys. I'll probably watch it at the cigar lounge or something while I'm hanging with friends. I haven't been smoking as many cigars, but I've still been going there. Yeah, oil has been kind of a crazy thing the last few years. But I could definitely see it coming down quite a bit. We haven't had a death cross in a very long time with oil. And the last death cross we got between the 50 and the 200 daily moving averages, it wasn't normal because it was when oil like just collapsed, right? Usually what do you call them? Exponential moving averages or DEMAs or stuff are just a little bit better. You can see that like this lags so much. This is a weekly chart. It's like months behind because there's usually some type of disaster that happens that really pushes the prices down. Like back over here, prices collapsed back in 2014, 2015. I don't even remember what happened over there. Let's see. Let's see. Demand for oil was low in China and Europe. A strong dollar, U.S. increased production, and OPEC's inability to regulate supply. So basically, Asia and Europe was having some economic problems back then. That makes sense. America was just chugging along. But I hear Europe's apparently in a lot of trouble right now. I want to see if that's going to be a concern for us because if Europe does get better as far as economic foot, are we going to see oil potentially go back up, which could be bad for overall inflation and things like that. I think the French prime minister just got booted out, and the German prime minister just got booted out, and the Canadian prime minister, I know this is U.S. stuff, he may be about to resign. So the world is kind of all over the place right now, and I'm not entirely sure what that means from a European standpoint because I don't actually understand European politics. There's much more, there's a word for it, not commission, coalition. There's many more coalitions going on that I just don't understand how those work out there in Europe. But I mean, so far, I think they've been working well for you. But since the Ukrainian war type stuff with Russia, where they had to actually push Russia out of their system, it hasn't been good for them overall. You dropped $250 on an Eris ticket. Oh my God, it was like half price. That is insane. The cool thing about the Nutcracker, I will not lie, I bought these special tickets for us. They're like an extra $40, but you get access to this small little Nutcracker suite in the intermission. The intermission's like 25 minutes. So basically, we walked down one flight of stairs. We waited in this line for like 2 minutes. We got into the room. They had like a buffet of food. And I was just expecting like fine cheeses and meats and maybe some hot cocoa and stuff. No, They had fine cheeses, salami, charcuterie board type stuff. They had a couple berries. They had chicken tenders for kids. They had spaghetti and meatballs. They had I forget all the food. They had a bunch of stuff that I didn't grab, like mac and cheese, a bunch of stuff. And then they had cookies, frosting for the cookies. They had hot chocolate. I brought hot chocolate with me back. They had all you can drink wine, all you can drink champagne. So I was back there with my bubbly, and I was like, ooh. So I own 10 Bitcoin, sir. It was good. It was good. So definitely a great experience. I just highly recommend it. It was absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed that thing. It's cleansing. Asada's out of Syria too. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's so much shit going on right now. And like, I'm waiting to see how it all kind of shakes out. Because right now, according to us, the CIA in America, the people running Syria right now are all terrorists. Are we going to work with the terrorists? Because I saw Joe Biden saying, hey, we're going to give them financial aid. And I'm like, they're terrorists according to your government. Are you going to really give them money? Probably best that we don't do that. And I think Trump honestly has the power right now because he's coming into office in like a month, a little over a month. So I don't think he's going to give any money to those guys. Maybe Europe will step up and foot the bill, but Europe is much more serious about controlling their debt levels. So I think it'd be something. Oh, sorry, hold on. Stop freaking out on me. There you go. All right, sorry about that. Syria and Siri sound very similar. But yeah. So again, there is some interesting stuff going on with that, but what happens if we just say fuck it to the Middle East and we just like, let's not fuck with them right now. Let them do their thing. If something happens over there that we have to worry about, literally we have Israel as a tool to just go fuck them up. Like that's what they've been doing for us for a very long time. I think Israel already swooped in and like destroyed all of Syria's like actual like army, like all their helicopters, planes, everything that was on the airfields. They basically just like started bombing the shit out of it as soon as Assad fled the country. Like how crazy is that? So again, I don't care what you guys think as far as good, bad, whatever. It's just going to be very interesting next few years, and I'm very, very excited for it because we're actually going to start to see some change. These last few years, I think we've seen the start of some stuff happening. It's been kind of led by the private sector being kind of held back by the government, which is okay most of the time, right? But I think Trump is just going to give them a little bit more of a leash to go berserk. And I'm very curious to see what happens there because his priority is going to be the United States and not so much what's happening in Europe or what's happening in the Middle East or what's happening in Asia. His main priority is the United States, and as far as what everything else means to the United States, that's how he comes back and forth. But that's why he's like, hey, Canada, tariffs. I can't believe this guy said Canada, you want to be the 51st state. I was like, holy, like, it's not going to happen. But I'm like, damn. Actually, I bet sometime in the next couple hundred years, Canada will actually be part of the United States. I think we're just looking at too many resources that we're going to have to take over. And we're going to hit like a low point in those next couple hundred years, maybe a few hundred years, I don't know, where America will be like, hey, look at all those resources. We have a military. They don't, not a big one, right? And we're just going to go take them. And then, Europe is going to be like, you can't do that. And America's going to be like, sanction us. See what happens. Sanction us. And if they sanction us, we basically, like, everything gets cut off. It'll just be, but we'd still do it anyway. America, we have a pretty cocky streak, if you ask me. I own 10 Dogecoin. Oh, yeah. 10 Dogecoin too. Really good right there. I wanted to invest in Bitcoin when I was around 800. Glad bought Canada at 51st state. Epic. Maybe it's like 25 states. I know. Yeah. I'd even say, we'd break it up a lot. We'd break it up a lot. It would have to be 25 or 50, make them really small. They wouldn't be large states like a California, Washington, Oregon. No, they'd be more of the smaller style. I don't think we'd allow them to be big states because then they could form together and try to resist. Small states are easy to manipulate. As far as, the CIA in me. I don't have any CIA in me, but you get what I'm saying. I've watched a lot of video games, movies. Let's see. $2025 Ethereum is the best $15 pump. $15 pump? What is that? $15 for Ethereum? That'd be crazy. We don't want Canada problems? No, they'd be getting American problems. Because what do you call? I don't know. Trudeau is in a lot of heap of trouble. That's also causing the markets to kind of freak out a little bit. As far as I know, and I'm not really a Canadian political guy, I've asked a few of my friends who live up in Canada, like Vancouver and Toronto, when they've been down here in the States, I'd be like, hey, how do you guys like Trudeau? What, like, is he good? Is he bad? Like, what is he like? And they all kind of say he sucks. Now, he did get elected, so I'm not entirely sure how bad he's been, but I have not seen any of my personal Canadian friends actually like Trudeau, which is kind of sad. I'm like, damn, I wanted to see, like, is he good for crypto? What's going on? He's like, no. He taxes the shit out of us. And I'm like, damn, dude, I'm sorry. Taxes ain't no fun. Michael, the CIA is in me. Have you heard about my mental health experience? What do you call it? CIA and mental health is probably not two good things right there. The CIA would fuck with my mental health in a minute here. H-bar's on the move now. They'll finally caught that knife. Hey, there you go. Congrats, man. The overall market, I mean, like, Bitcoin looks like it wants to make a push here later on tonight to try to break above like 108,000 again. We'll see if it manages to do it. You can see that slight downtrend right there. If we can just get a breakout right there, I'd be very, very happy to see what happens next. But as far as right now, oh God, everything's day trading. You can't even have a good swing trade now because of what's happening with the overall market. So, well, we'll leave it at that. I think for tomorrow, I'm going to go live twice. I'm going to go live around 10:30 or maybe 10 o'clock tomorrow. I'm going to try to, and we'll go live from 10 to right after Jerome Powell ends his press conference, right? And then I'll be live maybe around 6 o'clock. Tomorrow's Wednesday, right? 6 o'clock. Yeah, maybe 6 to 7 or something like that. Thursday, I have to go to a crypto holiday party up in Seattle. So I'm going to try to stream around midday or early morning. And Friday, I'll be able to stream whenever, which will be perfectly fine. So yeah, so there's a few things there. But I'll see you guys a little bit later on tomorrow. I'll be live around 10 a.m. Please be careful with this market. Anthony, I use the 20-day, or I use the 20, 50, and 200s for cryptocurrency and the stock market. So I'll see you guys a little bit later. Thank you guys so much for watching. And